Dude, all this influencing's getting to me. I'm getting influenced by the wrong people. I'm doing bad things. I'm doing really bad things. I'm going to take over the world. Dr. Octopus versus Voldemort. Who wins? Hello, welcome to the Love Your Lawn podcast. My name is Loudon Granger, and join me today as we talk about the internet, influence, and inspiration. Ooh. For more lessons ranging from life to lawn, be sure to like and subscribe. And hit that bell notification icon if you want to stay up to date with everything we're doing here on the podcast. Let's get into it. The chicken or the egg? What the heck? Okay, listen to this. You know the paradox, the chicken and the egg? What came first, the chicken or the egg? All right. I also have, does anyone know the answer to that actually? Do we actually know what that is? I think we know what that is, actually. I think I know what that is. I'm not going to tell you right now. Maybe a different episode, but I think I know exactly what happened there. And I bet you, anyways. You know what else is very similar to this? It's also similar to this is our influencers. Our influencers influencing us. Why do we have certain people that we are drawn to as influencers? And I'm not talking about the people on here who are doing their little things and doing their little dances and whatnot. I'm actually talking about people like role models. Role models in our lives. People who influence us before the term influencer was kind of a common title. All right? So let's talk about role models and kind of this notion of influencing. Recognizing the core values that I or you hold dear to yourself or to myself. Okay, when I reflect on those and I'm in tune with those, I will subconsciously or consciously pick them up in other people. And I'll notice them. Once I identify them in other people, I will begin to gravitate towards them and witness how they exhibit the values that I hold dear. And when I do that, that will continue to influence me and pursue and perpetually build my values that I already held dear and grow them. Okay, so it's kind of similar to the chicken and the egg paradox because we don't know which came first, the influencer who set you on the right path, or did you already have a bit of these values built into you that you admired and then you found someone who modeled them and maybe you grew more or others from this person. And it's a perpetual cycle. Which one came first? Listen to this, though. When we lack strong role models and we are desperate to fit in, we can be easily influenced many times in the wrong way. Okay? Especially in environments where negative behavior is normalized. Okay? This can be, you might recognize this in your workplace. You might be working somewhere and you're working with someone and they always have a negative vibe, but it's kind of normalized there. All right? The people around us, celebrities, friends, coworkers, or people in positions of power. Okay? So maybe someone at your job, like a manager or something, who has a kind of a negative attitude, can lead you down the wrong path, especially if how they are behaving and acting does not align with your core values. All right? And it always will start small. It'll always just be little tiny misdirections, little tiny pulls off of who you are as a person, and you're actually being influenced. And usually, all of these times that you are influenced this way, it's usually has some kind of element of instant gratification attached with it. Okay? All right? And this is a tale as old as time. I was reflecting on this concept a bit myself, and I was looking into different stories or movies or tales that, I grew up with. And one came into mind. I didn't grow up with this movie, but I like this movie. Actually, I really like this movie a lot. I was surprised how much I like it. Is, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where you have Miles Morales kind of having these two father figure kind of characters in his life, one being his father, the other being his uncle, his cool uncle, Uncle Aaron, right? And and he's kind of being influenced by both. His dad wants him to go to the school and do his work and get it. He's a police officer, and his uncle, he's a much cooler, kind of bachelor. He takes Miles into the subway to spray paint. He's cooler, and Miles naturally is drawn to him. But what do we find about that uncle later down the road? He might not actually be the best influence. I don't want to spoil the movie for you. Another Spider-Man thing that popped into my head was, you look at Spider-Man 3. This is a movie I grew up with, Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. This is where Peter Parker gets his first taste of the symbiote influence. Okay, so a meteorite hits, and a little alien symbiote is on the meteor. It crawls onto Peter, goes home with him, and he goes onto his suit. And Peter's his character is kind of a nerdy kind guy who holds a lot of values dear to his heart, and he doesn't like to stray from his values. He doesn't. He's very good. But once this symbiote crawls onto his suit and covers him in the black suit there, it starts to kind of influence him to sacrifice some of the values he once held so dear. And this is evident when he's battling Sandman down in the subway. He smashes Sandman's face up against the subway, and the subway planes off all of Sandman's face. Well, he's just made of sand, so it's really no real damage is done. But you can see it in Peter Parker's character at that moment that he gave in to the symbiote's instant gratification of defeating Sandman and getting his revenge and getting his payback and doing what he wants. And you can see how he was influenced the wrong way by the symbiote. And then another one that I thought of, just to kind of, I had two superhero ones, but another one that I also kind of grew up with was Mean Girls. Okay, so this is actually a tale that's probably quite relatable. I never was a new student to a school, but in this movie, the character is new to a school, and she's trying to fit in, and she meets two friends first who accept her for who she is. And then as the stories go on, there's a bit of a plot here, but anyways, she infiltrates a different group, and at first she infiltrates it for a plan, I don't want to give it away, but for a sneaky plan, all right, to kind of get back what she was influenced to do, a little bit at her own will. But eventually she starts to adopt some of the core values that that the plastics, the clique she's infiltrating, she's starting to adopt their core values. So she's being influenced by them. And now when she goes back to her original friends that first accepted her at that school, they almost don't even recognize her anymore. They're saying, well, who are you? Who are you? These people are rubbing off on you. You're becoming just like them. And the character, realizes that, and that's how it goes. And one more, just because we're talking about movies, I thought of a cool one. You look at my probably favorite Star Wars character of all time, Anakin, who was definitely influenced by Palpatine to totally drop all of his core values and literally switch to the dark side through the power of the influence and the temptation that Palpatine held over Anakin of saving his loved ones. Instant gratification. Instead of letting it go and letting things play out as they would, Anakin said, "No, I have to, give in to all of this Jedi influence and values that I've been taught, and I'm going to just succumb to Palpatine's influence." And it's just crazy. And this is just so I'm just pointing these out that this is a tale that goes over and over and over again, over and over and over again. And my last thought on that is, do we even have a choice, or is this just how it's supposed to be? Who knows? Get rid of that. Our choices are the things that show us who we are, far more than our abilities. And that was said by the great Albus Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, known for his immense magical power, wisdom, and guidance. Okay, and this quote shows that the decisions we make matter the most. And in my opinion, that idea is very optimistic. Okay, even if, and the reason why it's optimistic is because even if we aren't the person that we want to be yet, It's our choices to get there that matter the most. It's not our abilities. So if I really want to be a kind person, I really have these values. I really want to be a hardworking, kind, trustworthy person. Okay, let's say I can't keep a secret, and I am late, and I don't like to work so much, but I want to be, and I find influences. It's my choices that give me the power to become that person, and then eventually I will be that person. Okay, and I think that's what Dumbledore's kind of speaking to. He was talking to Harry at that point. This is a movie theme episode. I don't know if you've noticed that yet. But that's why I think that quote is so optimistic, is because Dumbledore's reminding Harry that it's your choices that determine and show who you are, and not necessarily your abilities, right? Because abilities will adapt, but our choices, that's the power of now. And a big choice of that is seeking out positive influences, positive role models. And that is a massive step. So we really have to channel the inner wisdom that Dumbledore provided to us, because seeking out positive role models is something we have control of, and we gain inspiration from these people. They inspire us, especially like how to treat others. We admire different qualities that they have. And back to the chicken and the egg thing, we have to determine what those are for ourselves before we consciously or subconsciously recognize them and identify them in others. And then, a lot of these things we're talking about here involve a lot of delayed gratification. It's not really going to be an instant thing. Typically, if it's an instant thing, if it's something that comes extremely easily and instant, it might not necessarily be the right path. Okay? So what I mean by that is a lot of the times, like in the examples previously I gave with all the movies, sometimes the harder route, the harder thing, the person who's telling you, it's going to be a hard road, like Mr. Miyagi, for example. I'm just thinking of this one now. Like, you could go get your black belt, at Cobra Kai, where you do your things in the big class, or you can do all the chores at Mr. Miyagi's house, polish the cars, sand the floors. It's a hard road, but you learn karate that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not an instant gratification. And typically the people who are preaching the instant gratification might not necessarily be the right influencers for you. Just a thought. Start in a specific area. Look for leaders around things that you are interested in. For me, I love jiu-jitsu. So when I am looking for positive role models, I might look at people in the sport or the art who exhibit greatness. And listen, I don't need to find one person and say, I'm just going to be like this one person, okay? Maybe there are certain admirations I value in one person's jiu-jitsu skills and in another person's character skills. This is the thing. The goal is not to copy somebody, okay? But it's to apply certain elements of their wisdom to your own life. So you become like a kind of like a tie-dyed version of all of your influencers. And you hear this a lot with music too, like guitar players and stuff. Based on the people they used to listen to growing up, you hear kind of their sounds and their styles in their new guitar player sound. So it's really interesting. This is the concept of influencing. All right? But here, I have one little hook for you. One last quote. With great power comes great responsibility. And that was also said by Uncle Ben from Spider-Man 1, right before Peter Parker went into the wrestling match, the cage match with Buzzsaw or Bonesaw or something. I can't remember his name. And basically, this quote also applies here, because just as we are scouting the world for influencers and hopefully positive influencers who represent our core values, you never know who is doing the same and looking at you, okay? And truthfully, you don't want to be a negative influence on somebody. That's not a fulfilling role that you're doing there by embracing that role. So what I'm saying is, the more you're living your life and doing your things, just be mindful who is looking at you, and ask yourself, always hold this right to the front of your brain. Am I modeling and setting an example for people who might be looking at me in a positive way? Or am I someone that if I was in their shoes, I should avoid? Okay, this is just an honest little question. You can pop open the hood and look and see what's inside. And this takes some serious self-awareness. Okay, you have to always hold your values, your direction, and even maybe some of the weak areas in your life. Like, let's say I don't like to get up early, okay, but Jocko Willing, for some reason, he gets up early at like 4 a.m, and I just need that in my life because I'm not good at doing that now. Perhaps he might be a great influence for me in that regard, okay? And that is one of the pros to having these devices with us, is it can expand our initial reach, okay? It can broaden our horizons on people we can come in contact with. So that is a pro to cell phones. It's not all just poor. They suck the energy from you. They can be used in a right way. They can influence you in a good way. Another thing it takes is responsible decision making, okay? Having a growth mindset, not being manipulated. Basically what I was saying with the cell phone. If I use it responsibly, if I make responsible decisions based on the tools and the people I have around me, then I think that is a good thing. But you need to be in tune with your responsible decision making. This is a skill you practice. And then this will transcend all aspects of your life because you've practiced it here with the cell phone. You can practice it with your friends. You can practice it all around. And it takes some social awareness because you must tune in with others. You must analyze and see, oh, this person exhibits this. I like this person's character. Ooh, this person doesn't treat someone that well in these certain situations. Maybe when they're stressed out, they kind of become someone not pleasant. Well, noted. Maybe I will seek out a different type of influence. And who knows, maybe one day by exhibiting how I handle my stress and treating other people, this person might view me and try to be, and kind of see me as an influencer, a positive influence. To practice these skills even further, we have a lovely activator that we love to play. And here to explain it is Mr. Pat Fish. Pat, please take it away.
Up next, we have Guess the Emoji. What I like to do is essentially put people into partners and have them tell each other an emoji that they use frequently. Whether it be a smiley face emoji or a heart emoji, but in different ways I like to set it up, whether it's, all right, pick one of your most used ones, one of the top 5 or the top 10 most used ones, and get them telling each other those emojis, because at the end, you're gonna have them play rock, paper, scissors. Once they've told each other their emojis, they're gonna split into 2 different teams based upon the winner of rock, paper, scissors and the losers. And then it becomes a competition of essentially charades down the line, except it's just a race to get through every single person on your team. And whoever completes it first out of the 2 teams is the champion. Go. Nice one. Go talk with your partner right now. Yeah.
Sad crying, laughing crying emoji. Yes, that one. Laughing crying, laughing crying. Heart.
Your heart. Big heart. The hand.
Heart hands. Human heart. Human heart. Yeah. Oh.
Eyes are like.
Rolling eyes emoji.
I did that thought. Rolling eyes.
Rolling eyes emoji.
Time.
Go.
Oh.
Oh, count it.
The heart eyes.
There you go.
Okay, we are going to add a 5-second penalty for the use of words. So that puts you.
Your eyes are rolling.
I just said I.
That puts you at 51 seconds. Which is 51 seconds. You ready? Who's starting? You're starting down there? Go.
Stinky. Yeah. Sleep. Dead emoji. No, school. Yeah.
Time plus 5 seconds for the, he goes, which the other team didn't see, but that's still 41 seconds, so this team's our winners over here. With having someone to back up what your emoji is because they're the one that told it to you, it makes it for a fun, interesting, competitive game for both teams, and it can lead into some really interesting conversations about, well, if you were, what type of emoji are you? Why is that your most used emoji? Oh, if you could only send 3 emojis for the rest of your life, which emojis would you choose? Well, those are 3 different questions, all just coming from talking about emojis. Those are planned ahead. Maybe someone brings up, when it comes to what's your most used emoji, maybe someone brings up an emoji that you don't really know. Well, why is yours the eye roll one? That's really interesting. Why do you use that one so much? Who do you send it to? Brings up some natural curiosity that might shape some of your questions for later on in Circle. Same thing I did in that second round as we moved forward. I introduced, okay, well, maybe what word do you think you use the most, or phrase, or texting lingo do you use the most? Well, just some interesting things popped up that could start for some interesting conversations around a major part of their world, and let's be honest, our world, through just playing some silly little games. So it can bring up some really great points for Circle. There's going to be some vulnerability practice. You have to get up in front of everyone else and make some probably silly motions, relationship skills when it comes to that teamwork that's built in your own intergroup going against the other group, some competitive nature involved, which naturally brings forward, yes, relationship skills, but also that opportunity for mistakes to be made, irresponsible decisions to be made, and learning from those mistakes from happen, leading to responsible decisions later on down the line.
If you or a friend want to send us an activator that you came up with for a chance to be featured on this show and perhaps have kids all around America play it, then be sure to send us a video of you playing your activator and explaining how your activator works to the email in the description below, and you might see yours on an episode of Love Your Lawn. Now that we have completed our activator portion of the show, we can get into our circle weaving portion of the show, and today's topic is your seating strategy. What does that even mean? I thought it's a circle. I thought we just sit around in a circle. Yeah, we do. But listen, here's a little bonus weaver tip for you. This is the power weaver move right here. We're talking about influence, okay? We, as the circle facilitator, as the circle weaver, should seek out who we recognize to be our little collective's influencer, or someone who might hold some sway amongst this collection of people. Okay? Now, what we're really doing here, by identifying them and just casually sitting next to them, we ask the questions, we pass the piece. Okay? So when I'm next to someone who's got some pull amongst these people, when I ask the question and I pass the piece over to them, it sets the tone. Their answer starts to set the tone for everyone else. Now, this is just a way to speed up everyone to share. I guarantee you, if you had all the time in the world in terms of per session, but also per I don't know, the rest of this, time together, like seasons, years together, perhaps, okay, like meetings, more meetings, but also longer meetings. This wouldn't matter as much, but when you're constricted to like one class period, or the meeting's supposed to go from 10 to 11 with your business partners, like this is a great way to kind of get this thing juiced up and get it going, to get everything opened up. And really what this is going to do is you find the positive influencer, and you can do this by identifying this person through games, through your initial activator if you've never met them, by observation, seeing how others interact with them, all right? Witnessing how this is a big one, witnessing how they transcend different social barriers. And what I mean by that is you might have a student or a person that's in your group who might be hanging out with the people who are, maybe into the band, do the band stuff. And then you might have them be hanging out with the gamers a little bit, talking video games a little bit, kind of a little, ooh, that's cool. He likes the music stuff. He can relate there. They can relate over here with the gamers. And then they can also maybe relate with what's another thing? The sports people, maybe. Maybe the sports people can kind of relate with it. Okay, so this character I've just imagined here, can kind of transcend these barriers. Maybe they would be a good person for me to sit next to when we start this circle. Because there's a little tiny piece of their personality amongst all of these different social groups. And when I pass the talking piece over towards them and they answer the question, they're representing each one of these little groups, basically. And if they answer, it's basically allowing, subconsciously, socially, amongst the network of humanity, it's allowing each one of these little groups that this person's a part of to say, yo, it's cool, I can chat, I can talk, I can tell everyone and share how I feel here. It's okay. That person did it. It's okay. They've modeled it. They've influenced us. Okay? Another way I really like to play around and think of this idea is, this is such a movie theme. This is such a show theme, movie theme, pop culture. This is a pop culture show is what we are. We're setting the tone. A show I grew up with, and maybe you've seen it too, on Netflix or something. It used to be on Nickelodeon when I was younger, is The Avatar. Okay, it's about Aang, the Avatar. Aang he's an airbender. Okay, so it's the four elements: air, water, earth, and fire. Okay, and the Avatar can control all four of the elements. All right, so essentially what I'm doing here is I'm sitting next to the Avatar. I'm sitting next to someone who can control not all four elements, but they have a little piece of every group. They're the Avatar, social Avatar. All right, we got to patent that word, by the way. I'm going to tell my producer to patent that word. Hey, can we get a patent in for social Avatar, please? But anyways, the social Avatar, that's who you want to sit next to. And you're putting them in a place to demonstrate or influence the baseline of the circle. And saying that it's okay to share. I'm the gatekeeper, and there's a little bit of that person in every one in the community. And I choose to open up. I willingly choose to open up. Therefore, others will tend to as well. And that closes the circle for us today. That came right back. This is the boomerang. All right. I needed it anyway. That's perfect. In other news, the students at Peru invited J.D. Green over to their school, and they did a super collaboration between the Aired Out podcast and also the Fish Perspective podcast. Check out the full episode. We will feature it in our show notes down below. And we're going to even hit you up with a little clip right now. Check it out. Boom.
And I am here with the team that makes up the Fish Perspective podcast, which is amazing. Which you guys started this not too long ago, am I right? Like, what's the deal? What's the story? What's the inception of it?
The inception of the podcast was inspired this fall at Sweethearts and Heroes Summit, Spartan Summit race with Miss Addie Bickowitz. She came up with the idea for the podcast to be the curriculum for the 103 students. And students have been in leadership for 3 years now. And so, because we didn't have a set curriculum beforehand.
Yeah.
So then Addie came up with that idea there, and we took it and ran with it.
No kidding.
Two podcasts coming together in a new budding podcast, which is, the Fish Perspective. I think they've only done maybe like 4 or 5 episodes perhaps. And you have JD's career in radio and career-long podcast. And perhaps a mentorship or some type of influencing is happening here as well. It's being born. They're influencing each other. They're influencing the world, as you'll see. And you can really tell because how much the influence of this Fish Perspective and of JD Green has gone out into the community based on JD's ferry predicament on his way to Peru. It's evident of how these students are influencing their community and other communities. It's transcending even land barriers such as lakes and stuff. So it's just really interesting how you put this brand new podcast coming up and JD's lifelong on radio, entertainment, and podcasts, successful podcasts here in Vermont. You put them together, and it's just so much influence out, and it really helps a lot of people. So thank you very much, Peru, for hosting JD and the Aired Out podcast and us Sweethearts and Heroes people over there. And also, thank you, JD, for joining us on this journey across the lake. We love it. We're happy you were able to get across the ferry. And thank you to the man who helped you out. I'm not going to try to spoil it. And thank you, people of the Fish Perspective podcast, for this awesome collaboration. Keep up the great work. I think you see how much you're influencing everyone by doing what you're doing. So great job. If you or your school want to be featured on the Love Your Lawn podcast, be sure to shed some light at what's going on and send us an email. Dude, the email address is in the description of the show. So if you want to see it, my producer has been scouring the internet for emails. And if you want to send us an email and tell us what's happening, you just hit the show notes, the description of this video. We have an email right in there. All right, it's beautiful. Send us an email there, okay? We'll put you on the show. It's that simple. Remember, loving your life starts by loving your lawn.